Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kedamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Beta Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Beta Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Beta Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, September 11th, 2024. It's Sri Radhastami, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So we could see where we go with our Sangha, our discussion. There's actually 2 recorded and transcribed classes from Srila Prabhupada about Radhastami. And of course, there's so much in Prabhupada's books and lectures about Radhastami. I thought one place to start. Hare Krishna. I thought one place to start. This is the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 23, Life's Ultimate Goal, Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And it's text 87 to 91. Text 87 to 91. And, well, I'll start with text 86. So, Lord Chaitanya is describing to Sanatana Goswami the qualities of Srimati Radharani, and he's focusing on 25 sublime qualities of Srimati Radharani. Text 86 Anantaguna Shri Radhikara Panchisha Pradhan Ye Gunera Vashahaya Krishna Bhagavan. Similarly, Srimati Radharani has unlimited transcendental qualities, of which 25 qualities are principal. Sri Krishna is controlled by these transcendental qualities of Srimati Radharani. So Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is the Supreme Controller. He is the all-powerful entity in creation. But that's not true. Srimati Radharani is more powerful than Krishna. Krishna is Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid, and Srimati Radharani is Madan Mohan Mohini. She attracts the attractor of Cupid with these qualities. So this is the Sanskrit for text 87 to 91. Ata Vrindavaneshvarya Kirtyante Pravaraguna Madhurayam Navavayash Salapango Jvalasmita Charu Sobhagya Rekadya Gandhon Madita Madhava Sangita Prasara Bhikya Ramyavan Narma Pandita Vinita Karuna Purna Vidagda Patavanvita Lajashila Sumaryada Darya Gambirya Shalini Suvilasa Mahabhava Paramotarshini Gokula Prema Vasatir Jagat Shreni Lasad Yasha Gauravarpita Guru Sneha Saki Pranayita Vasha Krishna Priyavali Mukhya Santata Shrava Keshava Bahuna Kim Gunas Tasya Sankyatita Harer Eva. Translation: Srimati Radharani's 25 chief transcendental qualities are: 1. She is very sweet. 2. She is always freshly youthful. 3. Her eyes are restless. 4. She smiles brightly. 5. She has beautiful, auspicious lines. 6. She makes Krishna happy with her bodily aroma. 7. She is very expert in singing. 8. Her speech is charming. 9. She is very expert in joking and speaking pleasantly. 10. She is very humble and meek. 11. She is always full of mercy. 12. She is cunning. 13. She is expert in executing her duties. 14. She is shy. 15. She is always respectful. 16. She is always calm. 17. She is always grave. 18. She is expert in enjoying life. 19. She is situated at the topmost level of ecstatic love. 20. She is the reservoir of loving affairs in Gokula. 21. She is the most famous of submissive devotees. 22. She is very affectionate to elderly people. 23. She is very submissive to the love of her friends. 24. She is the chief gopi. 25. She always keeps Krishna under her control. In short, she possesses unlimited transcendental qualities, just as Lord Krishna does. Text 92. Naika Naika Dui Rasira Lambana Se Dui Shreshta Radha Vrajendra Nandana. The basis of all transcendental mellows is the hero and the heroine, and Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, are the best. So reading that, well, what comes to me is, talks about the hero and the heroine. So I want to be the hero. But here we have Krishna's the hero and Srimati Radharani's the heroine. So this gets to the essence of material life. right? I'll speak in I statements, okay? That really out of envy of Radha and Krishna, I want to be the center. I want to be the center. I want to be the hero of my narrative. And maybe I'm the most powerful, the smartest, or maybe I have the best victim story. I'm the one who's been most ill-treated, or in some way or other, I want to be number one. I'm reminded of the pastime of Srila Prabhupada when a disciple offered obeisances and said to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I'm your most fallen disciple. And Srila Prabhupada said, you're not the most anything. So even in being fallen, can I be number one there? So that's the disease. That's the disease, that I want to be number one. And then that's the source of making ourselves miserable and making others miserable too. And then the transformation, bhakti transformation is, okay, I'm going to serve Srimati Radharani. I'm going to serve Shri Krishna. I'm going to serve Shri Radha Krishna. They're the hero and they're the champions. And let me simply serve them. Then Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajika Banoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karye Udai. Then the natural love of Radha Krishna that's in our hearts naturally manifests. We're blissful. We're not disturbed by the inevitable disturbances of material consciousness. I was just yesterday in my personal reading, I'm reading in the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in my personal reading just yesterday, I'm just going to read the last sentence of a purport I read from Srila Prabhupada. And this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 13, entitled The Advent of Lord Chaitanya, and text 42. And Prabhupada gives a pretty long purport. The last sentence of the purport is, therefore, those who are in bodily consciousness and who desire sense gratification are forbidden to indulge in discussions of the You're raising your hand. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Somebody waved to me, so
Yeah, I got it. Thanks for bringing me into the context. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Well.
Good to see you.
Well, Janava just came and she said, so something's happening there. I said, I'm not shaved, I didn't take a shower. She said, just go.
Good to see you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Haribol. Yeah, so Rukmini wrote on, Anandini wrote on chat, should I close my ears? So let's discuss that. She wrote, should I close my ears? So Prabhupada writes, therefore, those who are in bodily consciousness and who desire sense gratification are forbidden to indulge in discussions of the transcendental pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. So that begs the question, as Anandini wrote on, so should we close our ears? Here we are, we're reading the transcendental qualities of Radharani. Maybe soon we'll read the pastimes of Radharani and Krishna book and like that. So, all right. So there's a danger. There's a danger here because Srila Prabhupada, he of course taught and spoke a lot about Srimati Radharani and the loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. And he did so with perfect discretion. Perfect discretion. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Atmendriya, Pritivancha, Bali, Karakama, Krishnendriya, Priti Icha, Dhira, Premanama. That to desire to satisfy our own senses, that's lust. We might call it love, but it's lust. To desire to satisfy the senses of Sri Krishna, that's prema, that's love. So the danger, actually right in the very first, in Srimad Bhagavatam 111, the first purport, Prabhupada references Sri Vishwanath Chakraborty Thakur, who refers to pure sex psychology. And so the risk is if we enter into the path we try to enter into, we try to read about, hear about the pastimes of Radha Krishna, that will confuse it with our desires of like boy, girl, romantic stuff. And then that's very damaging for our spiritual life. It's called sahajya, and there's a Sanskrit name for it. It's very damaging for our spiritual life. So that's why we're cautioned. We're cautioned against going there. We're cautioned against going there. At the same time, it's described Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasmat, that the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. So this is like all the philosophy, all the past, yoga, religion, sattva, it's all meant to bring us to these affairs of the internal pleasure-giving potency. And if we go there with mixing it up with our lusty material desires, then we mix matter and spirit, and that's sahajya, and Prabhupada and our whole line of bona fide Vaishnavacharyas warn against that. So we shouldn't go there. At the same time, we're encouraged to go there. And so the adjustment is we go there under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and we're protected. And we're protected. And and we're protected. So that we hear about that from the pure devotee, the pure servant of Sri Radha and Krishna. And we're sheltered under Srila Prabhupada's vibration, then we're protected. And so it's like we want to be very grave and serious about the risk, about entering into the qualities, trying to understand the qualities of Srimati Radharani. Because like as an example, well, in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the banyan tree example, the banyan tree reflected on a wood or reflected on a pond or a lake. And so there's the reflection, there's a substance. The basic analogy is like a shadow, right? Like a shadow. So it's the shadow of a tree, or the shadow of a person, the shadow of a building. Now, from the shadow, and the shadow represents our material desires, including our material romantic sexual desires, all of that. From the shadow, we don't get a clue of what the real tree is about, the smell of it, the texture of it. We don't have a clue of what the real tree is about from the shadow. So like that. At the same time, from the shadow, we can get clear understanding that the real tree exists. So from our desires for material friendship, material romance, material adventure, material parenthood, etc., material master servant stuff, material color, material personality. From that, like it doesn't give us a clue of what the real substantial romance, adventure, friendship, parenthood is like. At the same time, from that shadow desire, we can get a sense there is a real banyan tree, the real thing exists. So we go there. So we want to be sober about the risk of entering into the pastimes of Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. And today's a special day to go there. While same time, also hearing, like again, right there in the very beginning of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada talks about pure sex psychology. So at the same time, we want to cultivate an intention and purity of the soul's desire to enter into these pastimes. And that's why, like Srila Prabhupada early in the movement, 1969, 1970, he gave us Krishna book, including the rasa dance, the pastimes of Radha Krishna. He gave us that when in his chronological translation, in Bhagavatam, he was on the second or third canto, but he didn't know when he would depart, or at least in his transcendental pastime, he didn't know when he would depart. He wanted to make sure we and the world that we have these pastimes of Radha and Krishna, like that. And then entering in, because Srimati Radharani, because we're aspiring to be servants of Krishna. We're aspiring to be devotee servants of Krishna. And she's the best at it. She's the best devotee. She's the best. She is fully surrendered beyond what we can conceive. And so by hearing about her and her qualities, like we just read her qualities from Chaitanya Charitamrita, just like if we want to be like really excellent at business, we'll probably hang out with business people who are really highly achieved. If we want to be a great tennis player, we'll hang out with top tennis players. If we want to be a medical doctor, we'll probably hang out with a. So if we want to, if really our life's goal is devotional service to Sri Krishna, then we want to associate humbly with Srimati Radharani and her sincere followers. And then our true desires manifest. And to the extent that we live our lives in service to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, then we're not disturbed by the disturbances that are intrinsic in this material world. I know in the world today, and particularly in this country, it's like the anniversary of the great tragedy 23 years ago. And so that's, great tragedy. And there's like every moment there are great tragedies happening. Spirit souls entrapped in an embarrassing way in material bodies, subject to janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshana, birth, death, old age, disease, cheating, and just all sorts of embarrassing conditions. And so Srila Prabhupada, Srimati Radharani, Lord Chaitanya, the Acharyas, they're feeling the pain of these tragedies. Tragedies are happening at every moment, and they're feeling the pain of that. And so they're giving us this transcendental literature. They're giving us the mood and sentiment of Srimati Radharani. They're giving us the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. They're giving us the bona fide, not the fake process, the bona fide process of bhakti yoga to support and encourage and energize us amidst the constant tragedies of material life, to not be disturbed with them, and to continue with deeper and deeper dedication to devote ourselves in the line of service of Srimati Radharani. Hare Krishna. Srimati Radharani ki.
Yeah.
Sri Radhastami ki.
Yeah.
So again, one thing I was thinking, there's many places we can go on this most auspicious day. There's one particularly famous pastime from Krishna book. It's when Sri Uddhava visits Vrindavan, and he associates with the residents of Vrindavan. This is after Krishna had already gone to Mathura. And there's a section in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, Krishna book, where Sri Uddhava, like kind of from a bit of a distance, he's observing Srimati Radharani in transcendental badness and her conversations with a bumblebee. So I thought we could maybe read some of that. Yeah? Okay. All right. There's other places we sometimes go in Radhastami, the discussions between Sri Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya, they go into the nuances of the nectar of the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna. Interestingly, in Srila Prabhupada's talks on Sri Radhastami, and this kind of invites the most esoteric windows of Krishna consciousness to open. Interestingly, in much of Srila Prabhupada's lectures on Sri Radhastami, he focuses on you're not this body and sadhana bhakti. He does talk about Srimati Radharani, And he prefaces it with kind of our entanglement, material life, material desires, and the process of discipline, chanting our rounds every day. Because Srila Prabhupada, he's giving us the mood of Srimati Radharani. And to save time, he's protecting us and wanting us not to foolishly think we're more advanced than we are. So very grounded. All right. So this is Krishna book, and this is Prabhupada's narrative description of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 46 is entitled Delivery of the Message of Krishna to the Gopis. So we'll read a bit from this chapter, okay? Thank you. We're here at the home temple of Madhavi and Naveen Krishna Prabhus. When the gopis saw Uddhava, they observed that his features almost exactly resembled the features of Krishna, and they could understand that he was a great devotee of Krishna's. His hands were very long, and his arms were just like the petals of the lotus flower. He was dressed in yellow-colored garments and wore a garland of lotus flowers. His face was very beautiful, having achieved the liberation of Sarupya and having the same bodily features as the Lord. Uddhava looked almost like Krishna. Just for context, so Krishna has left, and so the gopis are missing Krishna, and they're crying out of separation. And here's a dear friend of Krishna, Uddhava, who comes and he looks like Krishna, so he's reminding them of Krishna and the bitter sweetness of that. Of course, when we talk about emotions, mist, crying, bittersweet, joy, yeah, these are all completely transcendental emotions. There's the shadow and then there's the substance. So so in the we have our envy and we have our bitterness, we have our sweetness to the extent that it's not directed towards Krishna, that's a shadow. At the same time, there's transcendental envy and sweetness and joy and anger and grief, etc., etc. In Krishna's absence, the gopis had been coming dutifully to visit Mother Yashoda's house early in the morning. They knew that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda were always grief-stricken, and they had made it their first duty to come and pay their respects to the most exalted elderly personalities of Vrindavan. Seeing the friends of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda would remember Krishna himself and be satisfied, and the gopis also would be pleased by seeing Nanda and Yashoda. When the gopis saw that Uddhava was representing Krishna even in his bodily features, they thought that he must be a soul completely surrendered unto the supreme personality of Godhead. They began to contemplate, who is this boy who looks just like Krishna? He has the same eyes, like lotus petals, the same raised nose and beautiful face, and he is smiling in the same way. In all respects, he is resembling Krishna, Shama Sundar, the beautiful dark boy. He is even dressed exactly like Krishna. Where has this boy come from? Who is the fortunate girl who has him for her husband? Thus they talked among themselves. They were very anxious to know about him, and because they were simply unsophisticated village girls, they surrounded Uddhava. So kind of without sophistication, they're just coming around. Yeah, like that. When the gopis understood that Uddhava had a message from Krishna, they became very happy and called him to a secluded place to sit down. They wanted to talk with him very freely and did not want to be embarrassed before unknown persons. They began to welcome him with polite words and great submissiveness. Quote, "We know that you are a most confidential associate of Krishna, and that he has therefore sent you to Vrindavan to give solace to his father and mother. We can understand that family affection is very strong. Even great sages who have taken to the renounced order of life cannot give up family members. Krishna has therefore sent you to his father and mother. Otherwise, he has no further business in Vrindavan. He is now in town. What does he have to know about Vrindavan village or the cows' pasturing grounds? Those things are not at all useful for Krishna because he is now a man in the city. Surely he has nothing to do with persons who do not happen to be his family members. Why should one bother about those who are outside the family, especially and specifically those who are attached as the wives of others? Krishna is interested in them as long as there is a need of gratification, like the bumblebees who have interest in the flowers as long as they want to take the honey out of them. It is very natural and psychological that a prostitute does not care for her paramour as soon as he loses his money. Similarly, when the citizens find that a government is incapable of giving them full protection, they leave the country. A student, after finishing his education, gives up his relationship with the teacher and the school. A rich man, after taking his reward from the worshiper, gives him up. When the fruit season is over, the birds are no longer interested in the tree. Just after eating in the house of a lord, the guest gives up his relationship with the host. After a forest fire, when there is a scarcity of green grass, the deer and other animals give up the forest. And so a man, after enjoying his girlfriend, gives up his connection with her. End quote from the gopis. In this way, all the gopis began to indirectly accuse Krishna by citing so many similes. Uddhava understood that the gopis of Vrindavan were all simply absorbed in the thought of Krishna and his childhood activities. While talking about Krishna with Uddhava, they forgot all about their household business. They even forgot about themselves, as their interest in Krishna increased more and more. One of the gopis, named Srimati Radharani, was so much absorbed in thoughts of Krishna by dint of her personal touch with him that she actually began to talk with a bumblebee which was flying there and trying to touch her lotus feet. While another gopi was talking with Krishna's messenger Uddhava, Srimati Radharani took that bumblebee to be a messenger from Krishna and began to talk with it as follows. Bumblebee, you are accustomed to drinking honey from the flowers, and therefore you have preferred to be a messenger of Krishna, who is of the same nature as you. I have seen on your mustaches the red powder of kumkum, which was smeared on the flower garland of Krishna while he was pressing the breast of some other girl who is my competitor. You are feeling very proud by touching that flower, and your mustaches have become reddish. You have come here carrying a message for me. You are anxious to touch my feet. But my dear bumblebee, let me warn you, don't touch me. I don't want any messages from your unreliable master. You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. It may be that Srimati Radharani purposely addressed that bumblebee sarcastically in order to criticize the messenger Uddhava. Indirectly, Srimati Radharani saw Uddhava as not only resembling Krishna's bodily features, but as being equal to Krishna. In this way, she indicated that Uddhava was as unreliable as Krishna himself. Srimati Radharani wanted to give specific reasons why she was dissatisfied with Krishna and his messengers. Mother Devaki, would you like to read? Okay, we're here.
How could we have understood these pastimes without Prabhupada's explanation?
Yeah.
It would be impossible.
No.
And when Prabhupada says not to study other Vedic literatures, he doesn't mean don't. I mean, that the purpose, he's given the explanation. Sometimes I think that's the portion by Gita, 431, that's misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Than the new Gita, where Prabhupada says you want to understand the books unless you hear from the lips of pure devotee.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada himself, he is the pure devotee.
Yeah.
That gave the explanation.
Yes.
So we're hearing from the lips of a pure devotee.
We're hearing from Mr. Prabhupada in reading his books.
Otherwise, we would never understand this pastime. We'd be, as I think anybody, it doesn't have to be Western, anybody would be bewildered. How would I understand what this, you know?
Such a vital point. Thanks for highlighting it. Yeah, that's right. Because we say, oh, you need the kind of like it's another form of Mayavad and Sahajya, mixing matter and spirit. That the idea, because I'm just, oh, we need the lips. Basically, they're saying To really get spiritual, transcendental, transformational knowledge, you need these material lips and tongue and these vocal cords. So they're thinking that this contraption is spiritual. But Srila Prabhupada's eternal Vani and eternal Vapu, which is not dependent on anything physical. Oh, that's material. That's unavailable for you. That's unavailable. They're thinking spirit is matter. That's Mayavad. And they're thinking that you need these lips and this tongue to hear from to get spiritual transformation. So they're thinking matter is spirit. That's Sahajya. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Why would he leave these books if that were a fact?
Hare
What's the
Krishna.
purpose of the books?
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavata.
Yeah. Bhagavad.
She addressed the bumblebee. Your master Krishna is exactly of your quality. You sit down on a flower, and after taking a little honey, you immediately fly away and sit in another flower and taste. You're just like your master Krishna. He gave us the chance of tasting the touch of his lips and then left altogether. I know also that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, who is always in the midst of the lotus flower, is constantly engaged in Krishna's service. But I do not know why she has become so captivated by Krishna. She is attached to him, although she knows his actual character. As far as we are concerned, we are more intelligent than that goddess of fortune. We are not going to be cheated anymore by Krishna or his messengers. According to expert opinion, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is a subordinate expansion of Srimati Radharani. As Krishna has numerous expansions of Vishnumurtis, so his pleasure potency Radharani also has innumerable expansions of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji, is always anxious to be elevated to the position of the gopis. Srimati Radharani continued, you foolish bumblebee, you are trying to satisfy me and get a reward by singing the glories of Krishna, but it is a useless attempt. We are bereft of all our possessions. We are away from our homes and families. We know very well about Krishna. We know even more than you. So whatever you make up about him will be old stories to us. Krishna is now in the city and is better known as the friend of Arjuna. He now has many new girlfriends, and they are no doubt very happy in association with him. Because the lusty burning sensation of their breasts has been satisfied by Krishna, they are now happy. If you go there and glorify Krishna, you may be pleased, he may be, if you go there and glorify Krishna, they may be pleased to reward you. You are just trying to pacify me by your behavior as a flatterer, and therefore you have put your head under my feet. But I know the trick which you are trying to play. I know that you are a messenger coming from a great trickster, Krishna. Therefore, please leave me. I can understand that you are very expert in reuniting two opposing parties, but at the same time, you must know that I cannot place my reliance upon you, nor upon your master, Krishna. We left our families, husbands, children, and relatives only for Krishna, and yet he did not feel any obligation in exchange. He has left us for lost. Do you think we can place our faith in him again? We know that Krishna cannot be long without the association of young women. That is his nature. He is finding difficulty in Mathura because he is no longer in the village among innocent cowherd girls. He is in the aristocratic society and must be feeling difficulty in making friendships with the young girls. Perhaps you have come here to canvass again or to take us there. But why should Krishna expect us to return there? He is greatly qualified to entice all other girls, not only in Vrindavan or Mathura, but all over the universe. His wonderfully enchanting smile is so attractive, and the movement of his eyebrows so beautiful, that he can call for any woman from the heavenly, middle, or plutonic planets. Mahalakshmi, the greatest of all goddesses of fortune, also hankers to render him some service. In comparison to all these women of the universe, what are we? We are very insignificant. Should I continue? Krishna advertises himself as very magnanimous, and he is praised by great saints. His qualifications could be perfectly utilized if he would only show us mercy, because we are downtrodden and neglected by him. You poor messenger, you are only a less intelligent servant. You do not know much about Krishna, how ungrateful and hard-hearted he has been, not only in this life, but in his previous lives also. We have all heard from this from our grandmother, Purnamasi. She has informed us that Krishna was born in a Kshatriya family previous to this birth and was known as Ramachandra. In that birth, instead of killing Bali, an enemy of his friend, in the manner of a Kshatriya, he killed him just like a hunter. A hunter takes a secure hiding place and then kills an animal without facing it. So Lord Ramachandra, as a Kshatriya, should have fought with Bali face to face. But instigated by his friend, he killed him from behind a tree. Thus he deviated from the religious principles of Kshatriya. Also, he was so attracted by the beauty of Sita that he converted Supernaka, the sister of Ravana, into an ugly woman by cutting off her nose and ears. Suparnika proposed an intimate relationship with him, and as a Kshatriya, he should have satisfied her. But he was so selfish that he could not forget Sita Devi and converted Suparnika into an ugly woman. Before that birth as a Kshatriya, he took his birth as a Brahmana boy known as Vamanadev and asked charity from Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was so magnanimous that he gave him whatever he had. Yet Krishna, as Vamanadev, ungratefully arrested him, just like a crow, and pushed him down to the Patala kingdom. We know all about Krishna and how ungrateful he is. But here is the difficulty. In spite of his being so cruel and hard-hearted, it is very difficult for us to give up talking about him. Not only are we unable to give up this talk, but great sages and saintly persons are also engaged in talking about him. We gopis of Vrindavan do not want to make any more friendships with this blackish boy, but we do not know how we shall be able to give up remembering and talking about his activities. Since Krishna is absolute, his so-called unkind activities are as relishable as his kind activities.
I'm just reminded there, yeah, because Srimati Radharani and speaking saying, we just want to forget about Krishna now, but it's like impossible. And that's true for great sages and saints too. So that, for me, that relates to the principle, like the shadow and the substance, because like great sages and saints, basically it means they've given up material desires. Examples like Sri Shukadev Goswami, Srila Vyasadeva, Lord Chaitanya was known as like the strictest sannyasi, right? Okay, the six Goswamis, so like like giving up all material desires, not interested in any of that. All right, so then how come are they just how come they're talking about these loving affairs between Radha and Krishna, or Krishna, are they interested in sports, or interested in romance? No, they've given up all desire. That's emphasized about Srila Shukadev Goswami, that he was a realized impersonalist, free from it. He was truly transcendental in material desires, and still he was attracted to these verses spoken by Srimati Radharani. So that's the proof that these great sages and saints and mystics who are free from material desire, they have no interest in the shadow, but they're attracted to these loving pastimes in Vrindavan, which means that these pastimes in Vrindavan, including the relations between Radha and Krishna, they're completely spiritual. That's like a empirical proof. Valerie, would you like to read?
Since Krishna is absolute, his so-called unkind activities are as relishable as his kind activities. Saintly persons and great devotees like the gopis cannot give up Krishna in any circumstances. Lord Chaitanya therefore prayed, Krishna, you are free and independent in all respects. You can either embrace me or crush me under your feet, whatever you like. You may make me brokenhearted by not letting me see you throughout my whole life, but you are my only object of love. In my opinion, Srimati Radharani continued, one should not hear about Krishna because as soon as a drop of the nectar of its transcendental activities is poured into the ear, one immediately rises above the platform of duality, attraction, and rejection. Being completely freed from the attraction of material attachment, one gives up the attachment for this material world, family, home, wife, children, and everything which is materially dear to every person. Being dispossessed by all material acquisition, one makes his relatives and himself unhappy. Then he wanders in search of Krishna, either as a human being or in other species of life, even as a bird. It is very difficult to actually understand Krishna, his name, his quality, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his entourage. Srimati Radharani continued to speak to the black messenger of Krishna. Please do not talk anymore about Krishna. It is better to talk about something else. We are already doomed, like the black-spotted she-deer in the forest, who are enchanted by the sweet musical vibration of the hunter. In the same way, we have been enchanted by the sweet words of Krishna, and again we are thinking of the rays of the nails of its toes. We are becoming more and more lustful for his association. Therefore, I request you not to talk of Krishna anymore. This talk of Radharani with the bumblebee messenger and her accusing Krishna, and at the same time her inability to give up talking about him, are symptoms of the topmost transcendental ecstasy called Mahabhava. The ecstatic Mahabhav manifestation is possible only in the persons of Radharani and her associates. Great acharyas like Srila Rupa Goswami and Vishwanath thank you, have analyzed these Mahabhav speeches of Srimad Radharani, and they have described the different sentiments such as Udgurna, bewilderment, and Jalpa Rati Jalpa, talking in different ways. In Radharani is found the science of Ujjala, or the brightest jewel of or love of God. While Radharani was talking with the bee and the bee was flying hither and thither, it all of a sudden disappeared from her sight. She was in full mourning due to separation from Krishna and was feeling ecstasy by talking with the bee. But as soon as the bee disappeared, she became almost mad, thinking that the messenger bee might have returned to Krishna to inform him all about her talking against him. Krishna must have been very sorry to hear it, she thought. In this way, she was very much overwhelmed with another type of ecstasy. In the meantime, the bee, flying hither and thither, appeared before her again. She thought, Krishna is still kind to me. In spite of the messenger carrying disruptive messages, he is so kind that he has again sent the bee to take me to him. Srimati Radharani was very careful this time not to say anything against Krishna. My dear friend, I welcome you, she said. Krishna is so kind that he has again sent you. Krishna is so kind and affectionate to me that he has sent you back. Fortunately, in spite of your carrying my message against him. My dear friend, you can ask from me whatever you want. I shall give you anything because you are so kind upon me. You have come to take me to Krishna because he is not able to come here. He is surrounded by new girlfriends in Mathura. But you are a tiny creature. How can you take me there? How will you be able to help me in meeting Krishna while he is taking rest there along with the goddess of fortune and embracing her to his chest? Never mind. Let us forget all these things about my going there or sending you. Please let me know how Krishna is faring in Mathura. Tell me if he still remembers his foster father, Nanda Maharaj, his affectionate mother, Yashoda, his cowherd friends, and his poor friends like us, the gopis. I'm sure that he must sometimes sing about us. We served him just like the maidservants, without any payment. Is there any possibility that Krishna will again come back and place his arms around us? His limbs are always fragrant with the aguru scent. Please put all these inquiries to Krishna.
Yeah. Prabhu, would you like to read?
Well, my English is.
Okay, okay.
Better than somebody else.
Krishna Bhakti Prabhu.
Sorry.
Where did you leave off? Excuse these glasses, one of my glasses. Look like Elton John with them on.
We have a rock star here.
Oh, it's kind of appropriate, I guess. Feminine glasses on, that is interesting. And Rudaba was standing near, and he could hear, and he heard Radharani talking in this way, as if she had become almost mad after Krishna. He was exceedingly surprised at how the gopis were accustomed to think of Krishna constantly in that topmost ecstasy of Mahabhav love. He had brought a message in writing from Krishna, and now he wanted to present it for the gopis, just to pacify them. He said, quote, "My dear gopis, your mission of human life is now successful. You are all wonderful devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are eligible to be worshipped by all kinds of people. You are worshipable throughout the entire three worlds, because your minds are wonderfully absorbed in thoughts of Vasudeva, Krishna. He is the goal of all kinds of pious activities and ritualistic performances, such as giving and charity, rigidly following the austerity of vows, undergoing severe penances, and igniting the fire of sacrifice. He is the purpose behind the chanting of the different mantras and the reading of the Vedas, controlling the senses and concentrating the mind in meditation. These are some of the many different processes for self-realization and attainment of perfection of life. But actually, they are only meant for realizing Krishna and dovetailing oneself in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita also, although there are descriptions of different kinds of processes of self-realization. At the end of Krishna recommended one should give up everything and simply surrender unto him. All other processes are meant for teaching one how to surrender ultimately unto the lotus feet of Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita also says that this surrendering process is completed by a sincere person executing the processes of self-realization. It is wisdom and austerity after many, many births.
Since the perfection of such austerity was completely manifested in the life of the gopis, Uddhava was fully satisfied upon seeing their transcendental position. He continued to say, "My dear gopis, the mentality which you have developed in relationship with Krishna is very, very difficult to attain, even for great sages and saintly persons. You have attained the highest perfectional stage of life. It is a great boon for you that you have fixed your mind upon Krishna and have decided to have Krishna only, giving up your family, home, relatives, husbands, and children for the sake of the Supreme Personality. Because your mind is now fully absorbed in Krishna, the Supreme Soul, universal love has automatically developed in you. I think myself very fortunate that I have been favored by your grace to see you in this situation." When Uddhava said that he had a message from Krishna, the gopis were more interested in hearing the message than in hearing about their exalted position. They did not very much like being praised for their high position. They showed their anxiety to hear the message which Uddhava had brought from Krishna. Uddhava said, "My dear gopis, I am especially deputed to carry this message to you, who are such great and gentle devotees. Krishna has specifically sent me to you because I am his most confidential servitor." The written message which Uddhava brought from Krishna was not delivered to the gopis by Uddhava, but he personally read it before them. The message was very gravely written so that not only the gopis, but all empiric philosophers might understand how pure love of God is intrinsically integrated with all the different energies of the Supreme Lord. From Vedic information, it is understood that the Supreme Lord has multi-energies. Parasya Shaktir Viditayava Shruyate. Also, the gopis were such intimate personal friends of Krishna that while he was writing the message for them, he was much moved and could not write distinctly. Uddhava, as the student of Radhastami, had very short intelligence. So instead of handing over the written message, he thought it wise to read it personally and explain it to them.
Kanta Purdue, would you like to read?
If I can see how to say it.
Uddhava continued. And I'll see if I use the license. You won't see what these are. Anyone have reading glasses?
We can try these, Okay. It's dark. There's something the only one. I think you did laugh.
Very good.
Uddhava continued. These are the words from the personality of Godhead. Quote, "My dear gopis, my dear friends, please know that separation between ourselves is impossible at any time, at any place, or under any circumstances, because I am all pervading. This all-pervasiveness of Krishna is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, both in the 9th and 7th chapters. Krishna is all-pervasive in his personal feature. Everything is resting in him, but he is not personally present everywhere. In the 7th chapter also, it is stated that the 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and the 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego, are all his inferior energies, but there is another superior energy which is called the living entity. The living entities are also directly part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the source of both the material and spiritual energies. He is always intermingled with everything as cause and effect. Not only the gopis, but all living entities are always inseparably connected with Krishna in all circumstances. The gopis, however, are perfectly and thoroughly in cooperation in their relationship with Krishna, whereas the living entities under the spell of Maya are forgetful of Krishna. They think themselves as separate identities having no connection with Krishna.
That's right.
Love of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is therefore the perfectional stage of real knowledge in understanding things as they are. Our minds can never be vacant. The mind is constantly occupied with some kind of thought, and the subject matter of such thought cannot be outside the 8 elements of Krishna's energy. One knows this philosophical aspect about thoughts is actually a wise man, and he surrenders unto Krishna. The gopis are the typical example of this perfectional stage of knowledge. They are not simple mental speculators. Their minds are always in Krishna. The mind is nothing but the energy of Krishna. Actually, any person who can think, feel, act, and will cannot be separated from Krishna. But the stage in which he can understand its eternal relationship is called Krishna consciousness. The disease condition in which he cannot understand his eternal relationship with Krishna is the contaminated stage or Maya. Since the gopis are on the platform of pure transcendental knowledge, their minds are always filled with Krishna consciousness. For example, as there is no separation between fire and air, so there is no separation between Krishna and the living entities. When the living entities forget Krishna, they are not in their normal condition. As for the gopis, because they are always thinking of Krishna, they are on the absolute stage of perfection in knowledge. The so-called empiric philosophers sometimes think that the path of bhakti is meant for the less intelligent. But unless the so-called man of knowledge comes to the platform of bhakti, his knowledge is certainly impure and imperfect. Actually, the stage of perfecting one's eternal relationship with Krishna is love and separation. But that is also illusory because there is no separation. The gopis were never separated from Krishna. Even from the philosophical point of view, there was no separation.
Right.
In the middle.
Would you like to continue, Prabhu? Krishna, cosmic manifestation.
I have a story that is connected to Radha. Can I share that story now? It's a practical experience that I had in New York. Or should I do it afterwards?
According to your inspiration.
But I think now is a good time. So generally we know that Krishna is soft as a rose and he's hard like a thunderbolt. And he's the best person to depend on for anything. He's the source of it, he's the Adi. He's the source of everything in fullness. But I was placed in a certain situation where I had to decide whether I should depend on Krishna or Radha. So I wanted to make sure that I get his help. And the best person to twist the husband's arm is the wife. She has certain qualities that he doesn't have. So as Prabhu was explaining here, the number 11th quality, she's full of mercy. Then she's kind, she's sweet. So I had to decide because this was serious. I was a cab driver in New York at the time. I was devoted. And this passenger had a gun on him, but I didn't know. I didn't pick up this guy, But the police was following the guy because he was going to meet someone. That's what I heard afterward, to do something. So the police was following me because the guy was in my car. Because his friends snitched on him to be helped by the police. Snitch. So that's how the police knew that the guy was in my car. So on the way to where I was going to drop him off in Queens, I got pulled over. About 5 police cars just pulled me over. They came running to me with drawn guns. So I was perplexed. I said, what's going on? Because I didn't know this guy had a gun. So they dragged me out of the car. They said, don't say nothing. Don't even breathe hard. They handcuffed me, they put me on the ground. But all the police saw the whole car. And they went on the other side and dragged the guy out. And they started beating him on the ground. They didn't beat me. They beaten him. And then I hear, where's the gun? Where's the gun? He dropped the gun in my car when that happened. So the police didn't get the gun on him, but they found it in my car. So I explained to the police, I say, you could call the cab, the base, this is a passenger. I'm not involved with this. They say, but by law, the gun was found in your car. So you had to get locked up too. And you had to get charged. And I beg them all I can. But they say this is the law. We have that. You have to go to jail. You have to be also charged. This could be discussed in front of the grand jury tomorrow. But I tried, so I was locked up. And there was so much men in that room that night who got locked up. There was no place to sleep. So I was standing up, leaning on this wall. And I needed to have this confidence that I would not be convicted for the possession of the gun. Because both of me get charged for unlicensed, a second and third degree possession of an unlicensed firearm. They give me the charge too. So I was in a situation where I could have go to jail for nothing. So I had to decide how Krishna going to help me. And the conclusion was that I forgot about Krishna. I was only thinking about Radha and praying to Radha to talk to Krishna. I'm not involved in this. I need to be helped. And I was standing all night because there was no place to sleep. I was laying up on the wall standing and praying to Radha. Praying to Radha. I said, you got to talk to him. You got to help me. I'm innocent. And then the next day, in front of the grand jury, I told the story. I told them what something, and they let me go. Srimati Rana Rani ki. This is a real thing. This is a real man. I almost went to jail, for nothing. All right, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
The cosmic manifestation is also not separate from Krishna. Nothing is separate from me. The whole cosmic manifestation is resting on me and is not separate from me. Before the creation, I was existing. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. Before creation, there was only Narayan. There was no Brahma, no Shiva, no assistants. The whole cosmic manifestation is manipulated by the three modes of material nature. Brahma is the incarnation of the quality of passion. It is said that Brahma created this universe, but Brahma is a secondary creator. The original creator is Narayan. This is also confirmed by Shankaracharya. Narayana Paru Abhyakta. Narayan is transcendental, beyond this cosmic creation. Krishna creates, manifests, and destroys, annihilates the whole cosmic manifestation by expanding himself in different incarnations. Everything is Krishna, and everything is dependent on Krishna. But he is not perceived in the material energy. Material energy is called Maya, or illusion. In the spiritual energy, however, Krishna is perceived at every step, according to the same point he was making about the banyan tree.
Hare Krishna.
In all circumstances, this perfectional stage of understanding is present in the gopis. As Krishna is always aloof from the cosmic manifestation, although it is completely dependent on him, so a living entity is also completely aloof from its material conditional life. The material body has developed on the basis of spiritual existence. The material body has developed on the basis of spiritual existence.
It's like, because the soul is spiritual and because of soul's desires, we attract a particular material body. So the spirit soul's like a magnet. Spirit soul's like a magnet. We can just make some room here.
She wants to stand.
I'll stand. Okay. Yeah, the spirit soul is like a magnet. According to our desires, we attract spiritual energy or material energy. So like the spirit soul that is inside this body called David Wolf had particular desires. So then the particular material body formed around our particular desires.
Yes. Hare Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the cosmic manifestation is accepted as the mother of the living entities. And Krishna is the father. As the father impregnates the mother by injecting the living entity within the womb, so all the living entities are injected by Krishna in the womb of material nature. They come out in different bodies according to their different fruitive activities. In all circumstances, the living entity is aloof from this material conditional life.
Nadine, would you like to read some?
Wonderful hearing everybody reads. I was just thinking of the Prabhupada, one time he brought up how Radharani is very much involved in our lives.
Yeah. Like Krishna Swaram just shared, very much
Yeah,
involved.
but I'm thinking of a more like directional nature of what he said that applies to all of us.
Yeah,
Not the personal story. And this is when Nalini probably knows about this. This is when he found out that people were coming to temples, Prabhupada's temples, and they were going to, pray to Radha and Krishna and have darshan and beg for mercy. But they were not getting prasad.
Mm.
So Prabhupada was actually not happy that people were not getting prasad when they were coming. So then devotees saying, well, Srila Prabhupada, we have to think of the budget and manpower and how to arrange it and all those
yeah,
other things. So Srila Prabhupada said, no, you do it, Srimati Radharani will make all arrangements for people to get prasad. Remember that? You wanna-
In the seventies, he sent, a letter was sent to all temples, always have prasadam on hand for
Right.
whatever guests.
Right, yeah, that's very similar.
Yeah.
But he mentioned Srimati Radharani's name.
Oh, nice.
So I was thinking that actually she's one of her qualities is she's an expert cook.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And then, we are meant to be, our secret weapon is Krishna Prasadam.
Yeah.
So it's not just Krishna Prasadam, it's Krishna and Radha's Prasadam. So how it's such an obligation for us to use this secret weapon. Because how many people will read these books and understand very much? They all make advancement by touching these books, receiving them, and but everybody wants to.
everyone loves to eat.
Even if they're living in their car or they're living on the streets, or they all want something, some prasadam. And this is our secret weapon. And Prabhupada wanted prasadam to be given out in different ways to every person all over the world. Even if they don't understand the philosophy, they don't get involved with the chanting or deity worship, if they can just get some prasadam, then their lives will, that journey back towards Radharani will begin by getting her prasadam. So just yesterday I was driving, once a week now we offer that our granddaughter Sundari, Abaya's daughter, she is going to Santa Fe College.
Mm.
So she finishes, she and Govinda's daughter Geeta, they're both there, and the school's over at 1:45. So once a week we said we'll pick her up. So when I picking them up, these girls are thinking what they're going to do with their lives as they grow up, nursing or arts or technology or things like that. But I was thinking it's our duty to do things in such a way that there's a future engagement for our children and grandchildren. And what is that engagement? Nasarni Kirtan and this and that, but prashadam preparation and distribution in all different ways. That is our obligation as seniors, as adults, to create that kind of future opportunity for our children and grandchildren, for next generations. So I'm just, we talked about it on the way back, and they were quite excited. We started, talking about this, and there's 8 billion people on the planet. They all drink water every day. They all have something with salt and some vegetables. I mean, can't we just develop a multi-generation enterprise that gets prashadam into every home on the planet? And I think that would be very pleasing to Srimati Radharani. So today, I think we can just, I just want to mention this, but please be thinking about this, because now the kids are thinking about it. And Prabhupada he said no more temples, but I read, he said only restaurants and reading rooms. So restaurants means prashadam distribution, and I've had,
He did say no more temples?
he said no more temples.
When did he say that?
You can read in the Prabhupada Nectar books. Now you have to verify it, but it's there in the books.
So how are we going to propagate a religious movement?
You propagate Krishna consciousness in thousands of ways. One of them is prashadam distribution.
Only by prasad?
No, kirtan, daily worship at home.
A lot of people like to go to temples.
Yeah, but look at how many people are here today.
Kids, the kids. And,
Yeah, that can go on. That can go on. But Prabhupada, I'm just saying what Prabhupada said.
Yeah. I'm not.
That's all. I'm not taking a position. I'm just conveying. Focus is Srimati Radharani and her desire that everybody should get prashadam.
Right.
That's the point I'm making just now. So I think we should just figure out ways to, whether it's prashadam distribution in food trucks or restaurants or temples. I'm not saying anything about that, or people's homes, or package prashadam, or
Could it be said that Radharani captured Krishna through prashadam as well? Because
Yeah.
everything she cooked, she never cooked the same preparation
right.
twice.
and that's how she does.
So she was always, for Krishna, it must have been, well, it still is.
Well, it's still going on. It's still
It's not
going
going
on.
on, so the food was actually, it's very integral, part of the relationship, because Radharani is always cooking for her.
That's right. And how many of us would be willing to give up prashadam? Raise your hand.
How many of us came to Krishna consciousness because of prashadam?
No, there's one.
Everybody.
I mentioned your name in the conversation. I didn't mention name. I said somebody that I know very well. It took them 1,000 places to prashadam.
1,000 before I attended my first round of japa.
That's right.
Glorious fact.
Okay.
Just a preaching story about prasadam is when we left LA after 7 years on the West Coast, we stopped over at the New York Temple on 53rd Avenue. And they had downstairs, they had a restaurant. And upstairs, they had the temple room. So first we went in the temple room, there were a couple of devotees in there around that time. And then we went downstairs to the restaurant and there was a line out all the way to get us a table and out the door onto the street. The prasadam was so, it proves your point that we should use prasadam distribution.
And I just, you have so many wonderful programs at your home. And it's all very nice. But the icing on the whole thing is what?
Yeah, more people come after the kirtan.
To make sure we get some.
Prasadam's gonna be served.
And what do I ask you every time when you invite me about what you're gonna have? Another place where she knows. I always ask, what are you gonna have for prashad?
That will
Whatever your wife wants to cook.
That line, by the way, that you're
Oh, there
referring
she
to.
is.
Sure, he's.
Yeah, that
Oh,
line
what?
that was waiting to get a seat at the restaurant in New York, they weren't all devotees. They were, you know, it was filled with people from the city that worked in the city.
Okay, so let's make that project that we want to, this is the perfect community for setting something up like that, you know? And we can package it and ship it to every little corner of the country, and then after that, other parts of the world. I gave another example of Radhastami's interest in this is Akshay Patra, returning the kids. When I got involved, they were serving 3,000 meals a day. Bishop Shah Church. That was about 20 years, more than 20 years ago. From 3,000 meals a day, now it is 2 million. 2 million meals every day.
They're serving 2 million school children per day in India, prasadam.
The United Nations gave them an award in April.
Yeah.
And they served the 4 billion people.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Prabhupada actually said we can conquer the world with Krishna Prasad to another place. If anybody remembers reading that?
And so many people are contributing money from their hard work to help that.
Yeah, they went up from, their budget went up from $100,000 a year to 80 million. What amount of funds that come together.
My understanding is maybe 2,000 or 3,000 children in India per day would die from starvation if it weren't for the prasad distribution. So of course, yeah, that's the statistics I've understood. So of course, prasad is spiritual, but even on just material level, 2,000 or 3,000 children per day would die of malnutrition if it weren't for that prasadam distribution service.
So I end up being much better persons because they.
And then you have to think when they grow up, those children.
Yeah.
What are they, you know, they're gonna be feeling indebted to, connected to, you know, people that were kind to them. Oh, let's move it.
And we did there was some success with these flowers and yogi bars. So
One time, one morning in LA, Prabhupada was there and they drove us down to Laguna Beach and there was a group of wealthier businessmen, devotees who showed him a box of cereal. And they were getting this ordered by all the big grocery stores and Prabhupada said very good. You offer it before you put it on the shelves. They said, yeah, we offer it, you know, before the batches are packed up. But that didn't last very long.
If anybody knows with the Yogi Bar business, it was actually like a very successful business. But because of the way things were managed, some of the devotees tapped into the profits of the business and then used it for other things, you know. And so they became undercapitalized and eventually went out of business, you know. But it was very successful. Did very, very well.
Prasad distribution key.
Yeah.
Srimati Radharani key.
Teaching the Lord Chaitanya the 25 special qualities of Radharani. I mentioned, and one of them is the cooking art.
Expert.
You read that already?
Yeah. We read it twice today, actually. You read it and then we read it.
Expert cook.
Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatan Goswami. 25 qualities, 25 particularly special qualities of Srimati Radharani. In the Brahma Samhita purport by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, in the purport to Ananda Chinmaya Rasapratibha Vitabis Tabir Yaeva Nijarupataya Kalabi Galoka Eva Nirasatya Kilatma Bhutto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. There's a long purport in Bhaktisiddhanta described the 64 special artistic talents of Srimati Radharani. Jai Sri Radhastami ki jai. I'm thinking maybe we go to a kirtan and then honoring prasadam, Srimati Radharani's mercy in the form of prasadam. So the RT, okay. Nalini Kanta Prabhu, would you like to lead kirtan?
How long will it be? I have to go. I have 2 appointments.
I'm saying like 20, 25 minutes.
I'll do the first 10.
Okay, then you can hand it off.
Krishna Bhakta, I found out the other day, he's a great kirtan leader.
Very nice.
I already knew that.
He said,
He led the opening kirtan.
one more thing about Srimati Radharani. Prabhupada says that in the whole town of Vrindavan, they say Jai Radhe.
Yes.
They know that to approach Krishna, you have to get through Radharani.
Mm.
She recommends a devotee, Krishna will accept it.
Mhm.
At once I was on a morning walk in Vrindavan. Back in the days when it was, 6 a.m., there was no cars on the road.
Yeah.
There was just one Tonga that came by within an hour. And Prabhupada, Hare Krishna to the driver. And the driver replies, Jai Radhe. Prabhupada explained later that this is the Bhava of Vrindavan.
Mm.
They worship Radharani before they can get to Lord Krishna. Good story.
When I was in Vrindavan, last Kartik, I wasn't running out of money, but daily I would be empty at the end of the day because I was giving donations, And so people would approach you and ask for a donation, and I would actually take my pockets and go, I have no money, empty the pockets, and they would get very angry. And this one Indian lady that was helping me show me some of the teardrops and stuff. She says, "Don't show them your pockets. Just say Radhe, Radhe." and then you've actually given them more than you could have given them instead of money. So then I'm going Radhe, Radhe, and people would just beam and smile. I thought that's great. Save me a lot of money.
As we all know, but I'd just like to mention it that Srimati Radharani is invested with so much unique qualities that it baffles Krishna himself. Hence the reason why he decided to take the form of Lord Chaitanya. Because he himself is so baffled by unique. She has so much great qualities that it confuses the boss, Krishna.
How does that
So he
start?
took him as Lord Chaitanya.
Prabhupada was saying that the devotees, they approach Srimati Radharani and say, he's saying, don't offer a flower directly to Krishna, offer it to Srimati Radharani in her hand, and ask her to please offer this to your Krishna.
That's right.
That's a nice. Maybe that your Krishna. If the mother supplicates the husband on behalf of the devotee, then the husband can't refuse.
You can't refuse. That's right.
During my tea now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please. Hare
Oh, my phone is. Thank you.